Imagine a ghost town, not just abandoned, but meticulously erased. In the late 1500s, on a secluded island off the coast of what is now North Carolina, an entire English colony vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a single, cryptic word carved into a wooden post. This is the chilling tale of Roanoke, a Roanoke mystery that has haunted historians and archaeologists for centuries, a specter of vanished lives that lingers in the humid air of the Outer Banks. It's a story not of battle or siege, but of an inexplicable, terrifying silence. The grand ambition began with Sir Walter Raleigh, a dashing courtier favored by Queen Elizabeth I. He dreamed of establishing the first permanent English settlement in North America, a beacon of empire in a wild, untamed land. His initial attempts were fraught with peril. The Roanoke colony was first established at Roanoke Island in 1585 as a military outpost, a reconnaissance mission more than a true settlement. Its residents, primarily soldiers, struggled with native relations and supply shortages, ultimately evacuating in 1586 after just a year. Undeterred, Raleigh launched a second, far more ambitious expedition in 1587. This time, he dispatched a group of 117 men, women, and children, led by Governor John White, an artist and cartographer who had been on the previous voyage. Their mission was clear: establish a true colonial village, a lasting English foothold in the New World. They arrived at Roanoke Island in July 1587, full of hope and the promise of a new beginning. Among them was White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her husband Ananias. A month later, a profound historical event occurred. Eleanor gave birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. It was a symbol of their future, a living embodiment of their dreams taking root on foreign soil. But the promise of paradise quickly soured. The initial wooden fort from the first colony was dilapidated, and relations with the local Native American tribes, particularly the Secaucus and the Chesapeake, were tense, complicated by previous skirmishes. Essential supplies, from tools to food, dwindled rapidly. The colonists, unfamiliar with the land's bounty and lacking effective trading relations, soon faced the grim reality of isolation and scarcity. It became clear that without a swift resupply from England, their nascent foggy forest settlement would wither and die. Desperate, Governor John White made the agonizing decision to return to England himself, to personally plead for aid. He left his family behind, including his newborn granddaughter, with the solemn promise of a speedy return. Before he departed, a crucial agreement was made: if the colonists were to relocate for any reason, they would carve the name of their new destination into a tree or post. Critically, if they were forced to leave under duress or threat, they were to carve a Maltese cross above the name as a warning. With that understanding, White set sail in August 1587, believing his absence would be brief. But fate, in the form of geopolitics, intervened with devastating cruelty. England was on the brink of war with Spain. The formidable Spanish Armada was gathering, threatening to invade England itself. Every available ship, every able sailor, was pressed into military service. For 3 agonizing years, John White was trapped in England, unable to secure passage back to Roanoke. His pleas fell on deaf ears. The survival of a distant abandoned colony was a minor concern compared to the existential threat posed by Spain. The momentous naval battle, culminating in the defeat of the Armada in 1588, bought England its sovereignty, but it sealed the fate of the Roanoke colonists. It wasn't until August 1590, exactly 3 years after his departure, that John White finally managed to secure passage back to Roanoke. The journey was long and arduous, plagued by storms and detours. As his ship approached the familiar shores of the island, a sense of foreboding settled over him. He fired a cannon and sounded trumpets, hoping for a welcoming response, a sign of life from his family and friends. But only silence answered, carried on the wind across the desolate beach. As the landing party moved inland, the silence grew heavier, more profound. The wooden fort that had once housed the fledgling colonial village was eerily quiet. There were no sounds of children playing, no chatter of adults, no fires burning. They found the settlement deserted. The houses in defensive palisade had not been burned, nor ravaged by battle, but carefully dismantled, the valuable timber removed. It was as if the colonists had packed up and left, systematically clearing their temporary home. This detail, the deliberate dismantling, immediately cast a shadow over theories of sudden attack. Then, they found it. On a post at the entrance to the fort, clearly carved into the wood, was a single, chilling word, Croton. And on a nearby tree, the letters CRO were etched. There was no Maltese cross above the carving, no symbol of distress. According to their agreement, this meant the colonists had moved voluntarily to Croton Island, the ancestral home of a friendly Native American tribe, located approximately 50 miles south. A flicker of hope ignited in White's heart, quickly overshadowed by immense anxiety. Had they made it? Were his daughter and granddaughter safe? He desperately wanted to find them, but a series of violent storms and dwindling supplies forced his ship back to England. He never saw Roanoke, or his family, again. The Roanoke mystery had begun its long, haunting reign. The disappearance of over 100 English settlers from Roanoke Island remains one of history's most enduring and unsettling puzzles. Over the centuries, numerous theories have emerged, each attempting to fill the terrifying void of the unknown, yet each ultimately creating new problems and unresolved questions. The most widely accepted theory posits assimilation. The carving of Croton without a distress signal strongly suggests the colonists sought refuge and integrated with the Croton people, now known as the Hatteras tribe. Faced with starvation, hostile neighbors, and the prolonged absence of resupply, a desperate plea for help from a friendly tribe would have been a logical choice. Over time, their European identities would have blended with the indigenous culture, their language and customs fading into the fabric of their new home. Subsequent English explorers in the early 1600s reported vague rumors of fair-skinned, English-speaking individuals living among various local tribes, sometimes with blue eyes or knowledge of Christian customs. The Lumbee tribe of North Carolina, for instance, has a strong oral tradition and historical records suggesting a possible connection to the lost colonists, citing European physical characteristics and certain family names that appeared in both historical colonial records and their own lineage. The carefully dismantled settlement also fits this theory. If they planned to leave and knew where they were going, they would have taken usable materials with them. However, the assimilation theory is not without its haunting questions. If they assimilated, why did they not attempt to make contact with subsequent English expeditions? Why did no definitive proof of their integration, no direct descendant or clear historical account, ever emerge from within the Native American communities themselves? The vastness of the American wilderness at the time made tracing individuals incredibly difficult, but the complete silence remains unnerving. Another prominent theory suggests an attack by hostile Native American tribes. While the lack of a distress signal and signs of battle seem to contradict this, some historians propose that the Chesapeake tribe, known to be hostile to the English, might have attacked the Foggy Forest settlement after the Crotons had already taken some of the colonists. The dismantling of the fort could have been a ruse, or perhaps some colonists departed willingly while others were victims. Yet, again, the lack of mass graves or clear evidence of a large-scale massacre makes this difficult to prove definitively. No bodies, no obvious signs of a brutal end. Just an empty village. The Spanish, ever-present rivals to the English, also feature in some theories. It's plausible that a Spanish raiding party, aware of England's attempts to colonize North America, might have swept through Roanoke Island, capturing or eliminating the settlers. However, no Spanish records or accounts have ever surfaced to corroborate such an event. Had they successfully eradicated an English colony, it would have been a significant propaganda victory, almost certainly recorded and celebrated. Their silence on the matter is as deafening as Roanoke's. Environmental factors like disease or famine represent another plausible, if less dramatic, explanation. The colonists were ill-equipped for the harsh realities of the New World. A prolonged drought, a deadly epidemic, or a severe winter could have decimated their numbers. Yet, even in such a scenario, the methodical dismantling of the abandoned colony remains an anomaly. If they were dying, why would they waste precious energy taking apart their homes? And why leave behind no graves, no personal effects, no final, desperate messages beyond the single word? Perhaps the true answer is a tragic amalgamation of several factors. A desperate splintering of the colony, some moving to assimilate with one tribe, others succumbing to disease or starvation, and perhaps a small number falling victim to tribal conflict. The truth of Roanoke may not be a single, dramatic event, but a slow, agonizing unraveling, a piecemeal vanishing that left no complete story. The enduring mystery of Roanoke is not just about a missing group of people, it's about the terrifying realization that an entire community can simply cease to exist, leaving nothing but an open-ended question mark in the annals of history. The single word Croton carved into the wood remains the only concrete clue, a whisper from the past that only deepens the enigma. It is a symbol of a promise unfulfilled, a future erased, and a haunting reminder of humanity's vulnerability in the face of the unknown. For over 4 centuries, the Roanoke mystery has defied resolution. Archaeologists continue to dig, historians pore over dusty archives, and geneticists examine fragmented clues, hoping to unearth a definitive answer. But the abandoned colony of Roanoke continues to guard its secrets, a chilling testament to the power of the land to swallow ambitions whole. Will we ever truly know what happened on that secluded island? Or is Roanoke destined to remain a ghost story, a dark stain on the tapestry of colonial history, forever whispered on the winds of the Outer Banks? Some secrets, it seems, are simply not meant to be found.